Hi, I'm Jason Wexler, and this is Exemplify Agile. Today's episode, you are not your khakis. Agile is not your job. You are not how many sprints you do. It is not the framework you use. It is not the contents of your backlog. You are not your velocity. You are the fast-failing, all-learning disruptor of markets. So what am I talking about? What I'm talking about is outward perception. There's a lot of things that look like Agile. A lot of things that masquerade as Agile. But I'm going to break this down for you. Scrum and Kanban are not Agile. Safe and less are not Agile. Lean and XP are not Agile. Now, they have components of Agile, they have values that they build in that are Agile related. But the reality here is that the framework itself is not Agile. If you put a framework on top of an environment that is not Agile or not inherently receptive to Agile, what you're going to get is a framework that supports your existing methodologies and your existing structures, and it's going to adapt in a way that just redoes what they did before with new names. That's problematic, right? So does that mean that frameworks have no value? Absolutely not. There are two ways that I think frameworks do have value. One, if you have an Agile environment, you've confirmed that, and you have ways to validate that on a regular basis to make sure you've maintained that environment, then any number of these frameworks can really help you take your behaviors, your patterns, your processes to the next level. It can enhance your existing level of agility. It can enhance how you interact with your customers. It can enhance your delivery. Great. So that's one time it can be valuable. The other time it can be valuable is when you've identified that you are not Agile and you are using parts of the framework to move in the direction of Agile, of becoming an Agile environment, and you're using it for continuous improvement, and you're using it to build up what you need to call yourself an Agile environment, right? And that doesn't mean necessarily training. It means using the tools provided, which is usually like a guided retrospective, and metrics around like things that matter for Agile. Things like, how willing are we to fail, right? That's important, right? And failures are really the willingness to accept, not just the willingness to celebrate failure is really important, or at a minimum to accept that it happens and that we can use it to learn. I'm going to talk about Theranos. If you're not familiar with Theranos, let me tell you a story. So Theranos had a great vision, right? They identified a problem, and the problem was that getting blood tested is really inconvenient. They stick you in the arm, they get a whole bunch of blood, and then they run a whole battery of tests and it takes forever. So their solution was, we'll take a drop of blood, run all the tests in the drop of blood, and we'll do it quickly. Well, that's a great solution. The problem was it's really uncomfortable and inconvenient to get your blood tested, and the solution was super convenient and could replace potentially a ton of highly paid medical staff who have to do these tests and draw that blood. It's a win-win, right? This idea conceptually is fantastic. The problem is, it was an idea. And they built a lot of machines, and they hired a lot of engineers, and they had a lot of tests to run internally, and it didn't work. It just didn't work. And the people who told them that the approach we're taking is never going to work, they were not listened to. They were fired. They were replaced. Because they thought that this was something that wasn't possible. Let's get someone who says it is possible. And eventually they got to people who would just say, yes, it's possible, we'll just figure it out. And that You don't want people who aren't going to tell you no. You don't want that. Because what happened is they put these machines out there, they put them into use, and they weren't actually effective. Like, they weren't. So you had a company with a huge number of investors, valued at $9 billion. You had a CEO who was super young and looked as the next rising star of industry. I think her valuation was $4.7 billion. I think she's worth $0 now, and I think the company's worth $0. I think she's facing jail time, or at least a trial to determine if she's facing jail time. Because that was a culture that would not accept failure, would not listen to their employees. They would not listen to the people who were closest to the problem. Now, your situation may not be that bad, right? I'm hoping you're not out there actively committing fraud and lying to both your customers and your investors. I really hope, and if you are, stop listening to this video, go admit where you are, and stop committing fraud, and stop it. You're going to get caught. People are going to find out, and it's going to not just ruin your business, it could ruin you. So, pro tip, if you're committing fraud, stop. You'll get caught. It's a thing. It's going to happen. But that's the danger, really. That is the danger of environments where failure is not accepted, where we don't listen to somebody say that's not something we can do. We'll just find somebody else who will tell us yes, even if it's not feasible. So I keep talking about Agile as an environment. So Agile is an environment. It is not a mindset. People talk about Agile being a mindset. One mindset does not make Agile. A collection of mindsets, a collection of interactions, a collection of people who are motivated by making our customers happy. That is the environment that is Agile. Without that, any framework you have, any khaki pants you put on to look like Agile, it's just a pair of pants. So I mentioned motivations, and I think motivations are important. So, and this is another reason why Agile is not a mindset, right? Because we can have values that are Agile, right? We can value the Agile things. But at the end of the day, if we're weighing Agile values versus personal success, oftentimes personal success will win, right? And that's just human nature, right? If I want to be Agile, but my boss requires this thing, then guess what? For most people, that boss requiring that thing will win, or the boss's boss, or the boss's boss's boss requiring that thing is going to win, because that's what defines success for them. Being Agile does not define success. The outside motivators, the key performance indicators, those are the things that really define what success is for most people. So if you're trying to gauge how Agile an organization is, my suggestion to you, instead of saying, how Agile are you? Or how do you feel about failure? Or how willing are you to accept short-term learnings through failure to long-term customer understanding? Those are the questions that are loaded and everyone's gonna say yes to. Instead, start investigating, right? Find out what people are motivated by and what their definitions of success are. Because if you don't understand that, you don't understand what is going to be pushing back on your enterprise transformation or your team growth and development, right? You need to first understand the key motivators before you can train Scrum, before you can train Lean or Kanban, before you can implement a safe, scaled implementation across your organization, right? You have to understand the key motivators. And if you're looking to change an organization, first understand what motivates yourself. For me personally, I have a strong motivation to maintain the Agile values despite outside influences. And the reason why is because I believe in them. I believe that if you are not Agile, you are setting your company, especially a software company, up for failure. And it is my obligation to continue to push agile practices and push against other measures of success that are not aligned with that, because those are the things that will destroy your company. And if you are if you're looking to succeed, do you want to succeed in a failing company? Like, is that really valuable to you? For me, it's not. Like, I want to succeed in a company that is also successful and will maintain its success for a long time to come. And I want to be able to say I was a part of that because I ignored things. But most people, they're not there, right? Most people are not like me. Like, that's fine. They don't have the same motivators as me, and I accept that. I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is you have to understand what the motivators are if you want to change the system, if you want to change the environment. So, until next time, fail fast and learn something.